Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for tuning into this short screen tutorial on how to answer the 8-mark change questions in the Edexcel GCSE history for the Germany 1918 to 1939 module. You can catch this tutorial and many others at www.historychappy.com. So let's get on with it then, shall we? What are the essentials then? Well, it's worth 8 marks. You're going to have a choice of 2 in the exam, so read them both and pick the one you think you can answer the best. You should spend about 12 minutes on this question, but definitely no more than 15, so you don't run out of time for the other question. That's very important. What do you need to do? Well, you need to discuss 2 changes, and then you've got a choice. You either need to show which one is the most significant relatively, or show the links or the interrelationship between those 2 changes. Do one of those, either relative significance or show the links and connections between them. The choice is yours. Now, what will an example look like? Well, there you have it. It's a 2A question. So the first example is explain how the Nazi Party developed in the years 20 to 28. Or you could have gone for, if this was your paper, explain how the position of women in Germany changed in the years 33 to 39. They're both, you'll notice, an explain stem, so you've got to explain something. But the word developed and the word changed, basically you need to show how something changed or progressed or became different during the time period in question. So you need to show how things changed. All right then, what are your options for structuring your answer? You've got 2 options. You've got your linking option or your prioritising option, depending on which of those you're going to do in your answer. If you were linking, you would need a quick introduction just to say which 2 features you're going to talk about. You'd need to explain your first change. You'd need to explain the link between those 2 changes, then your second change. Then if you wanted to and if you had time, just summarise the link between them again, just so the examiner, if he or she missed it the first time around, they're not going to the second. You've got basically another bite of the cherry. If you're prioritising, I would give a quick introduction, explain my first change, explain the relative significance or the priority of those changes, which one of those is the most important, explain why, then change 2, then if you've got time, just justify the priority of your changes. So explaining again which one of those is the most significant. Just to mention, you don't have to do it that way. That's just the way I would try and do it. If you've got a better way, good for you. Do it that way. What would one of those look like in, well, what does the success criteria say? Let's go straight into level 3 for 6 to 8 marks. You need a developed explanation of change. That's an explanation of 1 or more changes. So give 2. Supported by selected knowledge. Now I have enlarged a bit of the key bit of the mark scheme for you. 6 to 7 marks for 1 explained change. 7 to 8 marks for 2 or more changes, so you do need 2. If you want to guarantee 8, you need to show which one of the changes is the most significant relatively. So you need to prioritise the changes, or make links between those 2 changes. Show the connection between them, show the interrelationship between them, show how they combine to cause change, essentially. Which one would I do? I would always do the prioritising, but if you like linking and you're good at that one, definitely do that one. So you need 2 factors and you need to show how they're linked, or the relative significance or the relative priority of those 2 factors, all right? Success criteria then, so as I said, discuss 2 changes that took place. You can do that by showing the situation before and after. If you want to show a change, you always look at what was it like before, what was it like after, there's your change. So let's take a real life example. Manchester United, before Alex Ferguson left, very successful. Manchester United, when David Moyes took over, not so successful. Now Van Gaal's there, probably a bit better, so there's been lots of change. But we can analyse or explain that change by looking at things before and after. You need to link the changes or show the relative significance of those changes. Pick one and do that. You need to explain and justify the links between the factors or the relative significance. Just stating your links or the relative significance will not be enough. It won't be detailed enough. You've got to explain and justify the relative significance or the links. You can't just state, you have to explain. You have to give your reasoning for your link or for your relative significance. Just saying they're linked will not suffice, I'm afraid, for 8 marks. The pitfalls there. Well, if you use leading language throughout your answer and you integrate the word change where possible, well, you're onto a winner. My example there is the Nazi Party changed in 1925 when Hitler introduced the SS, his own personal bodyguard, led by Julius Streck. So using that word change, integrating it, amalgamating in your answer to show the examiner that we're giving him or her exactly what him or her are looking for, which is an explanation of change. So we do that by using the word change. Not difficult. Use specific contextual knowledge to support each change. Now, the specific contextual knowledge in that example would be the SS in 1925 led by Julius Streck. So ensuring that for each change you've used really specific and precise information to basically explain that change. So something that you couldn't make up on the spot. Dates, facts, figures, names, statistics. All specific contextual knowledge. You must show how each factor you discuss constitutes a change. Remember, just before versus after. What was it like before? What was it like after? If you're doing the position of women in Germany, well, before the Nazis, women could vote, they could go out, they had leading jobs, they led a major role in society or played a major role in society. When Hitler comes to power, the law for encouragement of marriage, Kirchkinder, we have the Mother's Cross, women are excluded from unemployment statistics. That's a huge change. Women have a much more limited role now. So you're showing the before versus after with change. How do we show which change is the most important in terms of relative significance? How do we prioritise those changes? Well, here's my example here. It is quite wordy, I'm afraid. I'm sure you could do this much more succinctly under timed conditions. But let's say the question was, how did the Nazi Party change? And my 2 changes were the formation of the SS, so it's how did the Nazi Party change between 20 and 28. First change, formation of the SS in 25. Second change, Gauleiters introduced the rulers of the local regions or the leaders of the Nazi Party in the local regions in 1926. There is my example of not just stating the priority of those changes, but explaining them. So the formation of the SS in 1925, here's your leading language, was a more significant change, giving the examiner what they want, than the introduction of the Gauleiters in 1926, because, now that word there, because, forces me to explain it. If I wasn't going to before, I am now, because I've used the words because, which is going to force me to justify the significance of those changes. Because it gave Hitler a personal bodyguard that he could trust, and that was fiercely loyal to him. This meant that his leadership position within the party was fully secured, so there's your first change. Whereas before, the Munich Putsch, he was competing with Ernst Röhm, etc. The Gauleiters played an important role, because they did, in administering local branches of the Nazi Party, but this change was not as important as the formation of the SS, so I fully there justified the priority of my changes, the relative significance of those changes. I've not just stated that the SS is more important than the formation of the local regions of the Gauleiters. I have explained it and justified that ranking. For linking, something very, very similar. Just explain the interconnection or the symbiosis, or how those 2 factors that you're going to talk about, those 2 changes, are somehow connected. All right? I hope that's helped you. Any questions, do tweet me, it's at HistoryChappy, or go to my website, historychappy.com. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and good luck in your history exam. All the best, and bye-bye.